Hello everyone, welcome to Court with Krissy. Time for some traffic court, and it's kind of a weird one. This kid was issued 2 tickets. I don't think the cops even have it figured out. But can you Nancy Drew it? Let me know in the comments. I hope you like it. Court with Krissy is now in session.
All right, Mr. Mills, so your first ticket up is this one. April 21st of this year on US 131 in Door Township. It's too fast for conditions involving an accident. On this citation, you have a choice as to what you wish to do. First is you could admit responsibility to the citation, or 2, admit responsibility, but you'd like to provide some sort of explanation as to how or why this happened. Or 3, you wish to contest this citation. In other words, fight the ticket at what we call informal hearing. What were you looking to do?
Contest.
All right. Then are you going to turn your camera on? I can't see you. I got to swear you in.
Yes, sir.
All right. You can raise your right hand, same way Sergeant's going to raise his right hand on this first ticket. Swear or affirm any testimony you give here today would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Mills, it makes a lot more sense for me to start with the deputy. He has the burden to establish to me why you were issued the citation in the first place, but then after that, you'll have an opportunity to either ask questions or testify on your own behalf. All right?
Understood.
And with that, Sergeant, you want to pick up the narrative somewhere where it makes sense, explain the issuing of this citation.
Yes, sir. On May 21st, 2025, around 5:59 p.m., many of us were dispatched to reports of an accident that occurred on northbound US 131 near 146th Avenue in Door Township, Allegan County. After arriving on scene, I was able to observe that there was a blue 2003 Ford Crown Victoria that had crashed into the cable barriers on the median side of northbound US 131. After I had arrived on scene, I discovered that the driver was in the ambulance at the time. I made contact with the driver, who identified himself as Mr. Mills. Mr. Mills was spoken to in the rear of the ambulance. He advised that he was the sole occupant of the Crown Victoria. He advised that he was the driver of the Crown Victoria. I asked him what had occurred. He stated that he had been driving northbound on US 131. He made some references to having a red pickup truck that appeared to be tailgating him. He then was unable to provide a clear reason as to why the crash occurred. He stated that perhaps he hit a pothole and lost control. There were no potholes on the highway in that area, and just was unable to provide a clear response as to what happened. At that point, Mr. Mills was transported from the scene to the hospital. I responded up to the hospital, at which point I issued him his citation for violation of basic speed law for too fast for conditions based upon his loss of control of the vehicle and crashing into the cable barriers. His accident also caused an additional accident that occurred on the southbound side of the highway. There was a vehicle that had been traveling southbound. When he crossed into the cable barriers, his vehicle actually went through the median. It was stopped from entering the opposite lane by the cable barrier. However, there was a vehicle that swerved out of the way to avoid being struck by Mr. Mills's vehicle. And then there was a subsequent crash that occurred as a result of that. And that is what I have, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Mills, what is it you'd like to tell me?
So I actually have another ticket, and that ticket is me getting another speeding ticket after this supposedly accident. And
Yeah, we're going to do that one next. That one's at a different time. That was at 10 o'clock. So this one, we're just talking about the one where you lost control and went into the cable barrier.
right, which I'm confused on because I got a speeding ticket after there was an accident ticket, and I was never in an accident.
Okay, you got the speeding ticket is from a different time It's about an hour later.
Right, but I was in an accident at the hospital, which I never was, is what I'm saying. I never got in an accident.
All right. When's your birthday?
Well, so,
All right. You drive a 2003 blue Ford?
no, I don't.
Okay.
Your
So this
Honor,
is you.
Your Honor, his brother was the one involved in the accident. During my citation, I stopped him for my citation. He was speeding to go to the accident that his brother, who was also a Mills, was involved in. I don't know if somehow he got entered on both citations. I'm assuming that may be the confusion.
Yeah. Well, sounds like what happens is your brother gave your birthday to the Allen County Sheriff's Department. What's your brother's name?
I have two brothers. I don't know who was driving that car. The one who owns it, his I don't even know if his name is on that car. Like, I don't think that car was in his name.
All right. Well, could you please look into your camera here?
Yeah, I'm
So the
looking.
camera's off to the side. Sergeant Baker, is this the person that you talked to in the back of the ambulance?
He's going to need to move his hair out of his face so I can
Yeah.
actually see him. I have video of the incident, and I can confirm who he is if he actually moves his hair out of his face and lights his face so I can see it. Give me 1 second so I can actually see the video here. Mr. Mills, can you speak and remove your hand from your face so I can actually see it?
Yes, sir. Can you see? I'm kind of in the dark right now, so that's why I just turned the light on.
Yep, I appreciate that. Sir, this individual was the individual that was on my crash. We had an issue identifying him between his brother at the scene. We pulled pictures out of SOS, confirmed that it was him at the scene. I suspect it was his brother that MSP had stopped on the highway.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, here's the
Mr.
problem.
Mills, this Mr. Mills has a distinctive scar across his face. It goes over his right eyebrow and down onto his right cheek. It's the same one. The scar is readily identifiable on his Secretary of State photo, and it's also readily identifiable in the video of my body cam from that day.
Yeah. Mr. Mills, I find this to be disingenuous. All right. So say you're the one that's later driving. Which brother got in the accident that you're driving to go see? What's his name?
The Darquarion Mills. That's
Okay, so how come you didn't know who was that was the brother that was in the accident when you first started talking?
What do you mean? I said I
You
don't know.
said you're the one that got a speeding ticket because you're
Correct.
going to the accident, right?
Correct.
And then you said, but you don't know who was in the accident.
His name is on the vehicle as Darquarion Mills, but I don't think I don't think it's his car. Like, I don't. It had nothing to do with me. Is what I'm trying to get at. But somehow I ended up being the one that got a ticket for an accident that I wasn't in. Is what I was trying to say.
Okay.
So
So
I
then
don't.
this other ticket an hour later that was speeding, is that you?
Right. Correct. That was me.
Are you looking to fight that ticket?
Yes.
All right. Well, why don't we just switch gears? We'll take care of that one first because we'll just go right into that one. You just sit tight.
Okay.
So on April 21st of this year on US 131 in Wayland Township, this is alleging you were speeding, doing 91 and a 70. However, you were only written as 6 to 10 over. On that citation, you wish to contest, right?
What were the options? It was. Can you repeat
You
them?
could admit the speeding citation. You could admit, but you wish to provide some explanation, or you could fight the citation.
Can I do the second one? Can I admit with an explanation
Yeah, what is it you wish to tell me?
that I was speeding to the accident because I didn't know what was going on? I had my
Okay.
I turned my hazards on when I passed the state trooper, or like right before I was passing the state trooper, and I guess I left them on and I didn't realize it.
All
So
right.
like,
So let's hear from the troopers because we're no longer necessarily contesting the speeding citation. So Trooper Kelly, this is the person that you pulled over for a speeding citation in a 2014 black Ford.
Yes. Obviously, they have similar names. I don't know where the confusion is. My individual also had a scar, I do recall. And I don't know kind of what's going on, but he did have his hazards on. He did pass me in the fast lane. He did
What
state
did
he
he
was going.
say? Where did he have any conversation about where he was going or what he was up to?
Yep, he said he was headed to US 131, a little north of 135th, if I remember correctly, to pick up his brother who was in an accident.
All right. So here's how I think we can resolve this, Mr. Mills. So the actual speeding citation, you're not contesting, right? And so on that one, what would happen on that one is you would owe $110 is fines and costs, right? Here's the good news is, do you know what I'm talking about for points
are you talking to me?
on your license?
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yes.
All right. The thing is points don't really stack. If you get, multiple tickets and they're around the same time, you're only going to get the points from Secretary of State for one of those citations. So you're already going to get points for the speeder. You're going to pay fines and costs for the speeder. I think what's happening here on the accident is your testimony and what is said to the troopers is real consistent with, I'm on my way to the scene of an accident because my family member got in an accident. Let's talk for a second here. So you and your brother obviously have pretty similar first names, right? How do you say your name and say your brother's name?
Darquarion and Devarion.
All right. How much different is your birthdays? You're born in 2002. When's he born?
I can't remember. It's like 1990. It's way before me.
All right, different. So he's older.
Right.
All right. So you heard the sergeant testify. He's like, I think I am talking about the right person because you have a scar on your face, right?
Correct.
Does your brother have a scar on his face?
Not that I know. I don't really pay attention. I don't think so, though. We don't really look alike. I can tell you that.
Because it doesn't make a lot of sense that you're in the accident and then you also said you're going to the accident.
Right, but I have a
Um,
scar entirely across my face. Like it's not missable. You can't miss it. It's a scar that goes all the way across my face.
all right,
I got grazed by a bullet in 2021, and my scar
all
hasn't
right.
fully healed.
And then Sergeant Baker, I'm just going to go back to you. You arrive on scene. There's only one person,
Correct.
but you're saying it's the person who has the long scar on his face, and for all intents and purposes, you're identifying Mr. Mills, who's here right in front of us.
Correct. Because we had the issue with the name that he provided he didn't provide the name correctly. So when we searched it in Lean, it actually kicked his brother's name back. We looked at it and questioned whether or not it was actually him. We did some further digging, eventually developed his name in Lean, had the picture. The scar was readily identifiable in his SOS picture because like you can see, it goes from his forehead down to his cheek on his right side. And that once we had the visual of that scar and we're able to make that confirmation, that's how we were able to identify him.
All right. Mr. Mills, I have a relatively simple solution for you based upon the testimony of the deputy here, and I'm going to find you responsible as the person involved in this accident. But you're at informal hearing, right? Informal hearing is just me, you, and law enforcement trying to figure out what to do on a citation. The next kind of hearing is called formal hearing. It's a lot different. It's in front of the district court judges and the prosecutor's office there. It would be real easy for you to have your brother come in with you, and this will be straightened out in about 2 seconds, because that's either you or your brother, right?
Right.
So here's what you do, right? I'm finding you responsible on this one that you're saying, hey, that's not me, based upon the testimony that I have in front of me. That particular ticket is going to cost you another $135. But you have a right to say, hey, I don't agree with what just happened there. I want to take this to formal hearing, right? Formal hearing is in front of the district court judges, like I said, with the prosecutor's office. But you either come, you have to come in for that. I'm assuming your brother would come in if you asked him to. You'd be able to straighten this out real quick when both of you standing there at the same time, right?
Possibly.
All right. So I just want to make sure that you understand that you have an option to clarify this to the extent where it's going to be, you know, a real clear up or down matter, as opposed to what I have in front of me. You're telling me a story that just does not match up with what the sergeant's telling me.
But I don't understand I don't understand. Like, I'm literally telling you I didn't get in an accident, and you're telling me that I did based off what I don't get it. Like, why would I lie about being in an accident? I didn't get in an accident.
Well, what name did you give him?
I'd never got in an accident, though, so I can't give
Well,
a name.
yeah, here's the problem. Whoever that was gave a name that didn't match who they're talking about. So they had to look into it more. They're pulling you up and lean. You know what that is, right? You ever been in trouble with the law?
I understand, but I just don't understand. Like, okay, I'm just kind of confused. But yeah.
Well, what the sergeant's telling me is the person who was in the accident, there are no other people on scene. There's one
Right.
person.
But how
And
can
it's
I get a
you. He's
speeding
saying, I'm
ticket
identifying you right now, looking at you and saying, and it matches your scar.
It doesn't, though.
And you're telling me sort of weird things like you don't know whether your brother has a scar, or you're not sure when their birthday is.
No,
I mean, a lot of
I
things you're wishy-washy on, right? We'll give you time. If you want, you come back to formal hearing. You can be real solid on the facts, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Okay. Understood.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and release parties this time.